The massive Zenith Confederation warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight across Earth's upper atmosphere in dazzling patterns. Admiral Elena Santos watched from her office in the Lunar Command Center, her expression carefully neutral as she studied the alien vessels through reinforced windows. The ships looked like abstract art pieces, all sharp angles and geometric precision, a stark contrast to the utilitarian designs of Earth's visible defense fleet. "Magnificent, aren't they?" Professor Weichen said, joining her at the window. "Their engineering is exactly what our probes suggested. Crystalline metamaterials grown in zero gravity, capable of channeling enormous amounts of energy." Santos nodded slowly, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of the alien vessels. "And they're broadcasting their capabilities on all frequencies, just as expected." Pride before the fall. The main display activated, showing the Zenith flagship's bridge. High Commander Arxis stood tall, his iridescent scales catching the light as he addressed the United Earth Council. His translator converted his harmonics into crisp English. "We are pleased to find your world at last," Arxis said, mandibles clicking in what the sinologist said was amusement. "Our surveys suggested promising potential, despite your developmental limitations. The Zenith Confederation offers you membership and protection." The council chamber remained silent for a calculated moment before Chancellor Rodriguez spoke. "We are honored by your arrival, High Commander. Earth would be pleased to discuss diplomatic relations between our peoples." Arxis's head tilted slightly, his secondary eyes narrowing. "Perhaps I was unclear. This is not a negotiation for relations between equals. Our scans confirm what our advanced probes discovered. Your civilization barely qualifies as post-industrial. Your ships still rely on chemical propulsion. Your weapons are kinetic projectiles. You have not even mastered basic gravitic manipulation." In the Lunar Command Center, Santos allowed herself a small smile as she watched the aliens' confidence grow with each dismissive observation. The Zenith scans showed exactly what Earth wanted them to see, a carefully crafted illusion of technological inferiority. "Your species has potential," Arxis continued. "Under our guidance, you might achieve true civilization within a few generations. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate why the Confederation has maintained peace across 12,000 light-years for 3 millennia. Professor Chen checked his quantum tablet, its display invisible to any conventional scanning technology. "Shadow strike is in position, Admiral. Dark matter core stable, all systems nominal. They still haven't detected anything beyond our decoy fleet." Santos touched a discrete control on her desk, switching to a secure channel to the hidden facility beneath the lunar surface. "Commander Chen, status report." Sarah Chen's voice came through clearly, though no transmission signal would be detectable to the Zenith sensors. "Shadow strike is ready, Admiral. The dark matter drive is purring like a kitten, and our targeting systems are locked on their flagship's crystal lattice stress points. One word from you, and we can demonstrate some real technological advancement. Hold position, Commander. Let's see how this plays out diplomatically first." Santos returned her attention to the main display, where Arxis was listing the benefits of Confederation membership with the patient tone of someone explaining simple concepts to children. "Your world will be assigned a development index rating of D3, he explained. "This grants you access to basic Confederation educational resources and limited trade rights. In time, with proper guidance and demonstrated progress, you may advance to D2 status." Chancellor Rodriguez maintained perfect diplomatic composure. "We appreciate the Confederation's generous offer, High Commander. However, Earth would prefer to maintain its independence while establishing peaceful diplomatic relations." The alien commander's scales shifted color slightly, indicating what intelligence suggested was either amusement or contempt. "You misunderstand the situation. We've already detected your primary military installations. Your orbital defense platforms are, frankly, primitive. Your most advanced weapons would barely scratch our hull coatings. This is not a negotiation. It is an opportunity to join civilization gracefully." Santos switched channels again. Professor, has their scan penetrated any of our quantum shielding? Negative, Admiral. Their technology is impressive, but they're looking for conventional energy signatures. The dark matter containment fields might as well be invisible to them. They're still seeing exactly what we want them to see. The massive Zenith Confederation warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight across Earth's upper atmosphere in dazzling patterns. Admiral Elena Santos watched from her office in the Lunar Command Center, her expression carefully neutral as she studied the alien vessels through reinforced windows. The ships looked like abstract art pieces, all sharp angles and geometric precision, a stark contrast to the utilitarian designs of Earth's visible defense fleet. Magnificent, aren't they? Professor White Chen said, joining her at the window. Their engineering is exactly what our probes suggested. Crystalline metamaterials grown in zero gravity, capable of channeling enormous amounts of energy. Santos nodded slowly, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of the alien vessels. And they're broadcasting their capabilities on all frequencies, just as expected. Pride before the fall. The main display activated, showing the Zenith flagship's bridge. High Commander Arxis stood tall, his iridescent scales catching the light as he addressed the United Earth Council. His translator converted his harmonics into crisp English. "We are pleased to find your world at last," Arxis said, mandibles clicking in what the sinologist said was amusement. "Our surveys suggested promising potential, despite your developmental limitations. The Zenith Confederation offers you membership and protection." The council chamber remained silent for a calculated moment before Chancellor Rodriguez spoke. "We are honored by your arrival, High Commander. Earth would be pleased to discuss diplomatic relations between our peoples." Arxis' head tilted slightly, his secondary eyes narrowing. "Perhaps I was unclear. This is not a negotiation for relations between equals. Our scans confirm what our advanced probes discovered. Your civilization barely qualifies as post-industrial. Your ships still rely on chemical propulsion. Your weapons are kinetic projectiles. You have not even mastered basic gravitic manipulation." In the Lunar Command Center, Santos allowed herself a small smile as she watched the aliens' confidence grow with each dismissive observation. The Zenith scans showed exactly what Earth wanted them to see, a carefully crafted illusion of technological inferiority. "Your species has potential," Arxis continued. "Under our guidance, you might achieve true civilization within a few generations. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate why the Confederation has maintained peace across 12,000 light-years for 3 millennia. Professor Chen checked his quantum tablet, its display invisible to any conventional scanning technology. "Shadow Strike is in position, Admiral. Dark matter core stable, all systems nominal. They still haven't detected anything beyond our decoy fleet." Santos touched a discrete control on her desk, switching to a secure channel to the hidden facility beneath the lunar surface. "Commander Chen, status report." Sarah Chen's voice came through clearly, though no transmission signal would be detectable to the Zenith sensors. "Shadow Strike is ready, Admiral. The dark matter drive is purring like a kitten, and our targeting systems are locked on their flagship's crystal lattice stress points. One word from you, and we can demonstrate some real technological advancement. Hold position, Commander. Let's see how this plays out diplomatically first." Santos returned her attention to the main display, where Arxis was listing the benefits of Confederation membership with the patient tone of someone explaining simple concepts to children. "Your world will be assigned a development index rating of D3, he explained. "This grants you access to basic Confederation educational resources and limited trade rights. In time, with proper guidance and demonstrated progress, you may advance to D2 status." Chancellor Rodriguez maintained perfect diplomatic composure. "We appreciate the Confederation's generous offer, High Commander. However, Earth would prefer to maintain its independence while establishing peaceful diplomatic relations." The alien commander's scales shifted color slightly, indicating what intelligence suggested was either amusement or contempt. You misunderstand the situation. We've already detected your primary military installations. Your orbital defense platforms are, frankly, primitive. Your most advanced weapons would barely scratch our hull coatings. This is not a negotiation. It is an opportunity to join civilization gracefully. Santos switched channels again. Professor, has their scan penetrated any of our quantum shielding? Negative, Admiral. Their technology is impressive, but they're looking for conventional energy signatures. The dark matter containment fields might as well be invisible to them. They're still seeing exactly what we want them to see. The Admiral nodded, watching as the Zenith ships began spreading out in a standard orbital pattern, their crystalline hulls catching the sun like facets of a massive diamond. Their confidence was absolute, their formation optimized for a show of force rather than actual combat. They had no concept that they were actually arranging themselves perfectly for Earth's true defense fleet. You have 48 hours to formally accept Confederation authority, Arxis declared. After that time, we will be forced to provide a demonstration of power that will make the wisdom of compliance clear. We do this out of compassion. It would pain us to damage a world with such potential. As the transmission ended, Santos stood from her desk. Inform all commands. Maintain current posture. Let them think their intimidation is working. Professor, make sure Shadow Strike's dark matter signature stays masked. Commander Chen, continue monitoring their crystal lattice frequencies. The moment they power up weapons, I want to know their exact resonance patterns. She turned back to the window, watching the alien ships glitter against the stars. They're so convinced of their superiority that they've forgotten the most important lesson of technological advancement. What's that, Admiral? Professor Chen asked. True innovation doesn't just improve on existing ideas. It finds entirely new ways to solve problems. They're looking for better versions of their own technology. They never considered we might develop something completely different. She smiled slightly. Let's hope we can resolve this diplomatically. But if they force our hand, they're about to learn that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our creativity. 3 years earlier, in a facility buried deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Commander Sarah Chen stood before the gleaming hull of humanity's greatest secret. The Shadow Strike's dark exterior seemed to drink in the light, its surface a testament to the revolutionary technology it contained. Around her, technicians and engineers moved with purpose, conducting final system checks on the prototype vessel. The dark matter containment field is holding steady at 99.98% efficiency, Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays that would appear as simple maintenance terminals to any conventional scanning technology. The crystal resonance masking system is performing even better than our simulations predicted. Sarah ran her hand along the ship's hull, feeling the subtle vibration of power beneath its surface. The material wasn't metal or composite. It was something entirely new, a crystalline lattice grown around strands of contained dark matter. The result was a hull that could absorb or redirect any known form of energy while remaining completely invisible to standard detection methods. 6 years of research, a familiar voice said behind her. 6 years since we first detected the dark matter signature in that meteorite. Professor Wei Chen, her father, joined her at the hull. And now we know why the universe led us to that discovery. Sarah nodded, remembering the day that changed everything. A routine asteroid mining operation had uncovered a meteorite with impossible properties. It absorbed all scanning attempts, seemed to weigh nothing, and occasionally flickered out of visible existence. That discovery had led to humanity's understanding of dark matter manipulation, and just in time. The long-range sensors picked up the Zenith fleet 2 years ago, Sarah said. If we hadn't found that meteorite, then Earth would be genuinely as defenseless as we're pretending to be. Way finished. Instead, we have this. He gestured at the Shadow Strike. A ship that doesn't just advance technology, it completely reimagines it. The vessel before them bore little resemblance to conventional spacecraft. Its dark matter core allowed it to manipulate gravity itself, making traditional propulsion unnecessary. Its weapons didn't fire energy beams or physical projectiles. They channeled focused streams of dark matter that could pass through any known shielding as if it didn't exist. Admiral Santos is arriving in 10 minutes, Dr. Tanaka announced. She'll want to see the latest test results. Sarah checked her quantum tablet, reviewing the data from their most recent trials. The shadow strike had exceeded every expectation. Its dark matter drive could move the ship instantly between any 2 points in space without any detectable energy signature. Its defensive systems could absorb the energy of any weapon and redirect it through the dark matter containment field, effectively making the ship invulnerable to conventional attacks. The Zenith Confederation won't know what hit them, one of the engineers said, pride evident in his voice. That's assuming they force our hand, Sarah reminded him. We're hoping for peace. This ship is our insurance policy, not our first option. Admiral Santos arrived precisely on schedule, her uniform immaculate, despite the humidity of the underwater facility. She listened intently as the team presented their latest results, asking pointed questions about the ship's capabilities and limitations. Show me the crystal resonance masking in action, Santos ordered. Sarah nodded to Dr. Tanaka, who initiated the demonstration. On their quantum displays, they watched as the shadow strike systems analyzed and replicated the exact crystalline frequency of a nearby test material. In this case, a sample of the same metamaterial used in Zenith ship hulls. The dark matter strands in our hull can vibrate at any frequency, Sarah explained. We can match and cancel out any crystalline resonance pattern. When the Zenith ships try to power up their weapons, their energy distribution networks will be disrupted at the quantum level, Santos finished, a rare smile crossing her face. And they'll never see it coming because they're not even looking for dark matter technology. Excellent work, everyone. The Admiral turned to Professor Chen. The Council is prepared for the Zenith arrival. Our visible defenses are exactly what you'd expect from a pre-gravitic civilization. Chemical rockets, kinetic weapons, and basic shield technology that they'll easily detect. And our real defense network? Wei asked. The dark matter satellite grid is in place and completely undetectable. The moment they arrive, we'll have their ships mapped down to the molecular level. Santos paused, her expression growing serious. Of course, we're still hoping diplomacy prevails. The Zenith Confederation's technological advancement suggests they might be reasoned with. Sarah shared a look with her father. They both knew the Admiral was being optimistic. The Confederation's history was clear. They had spent millennia absorbing lesser civilizations into their hierarchy, believing their technological superiority gave them the right to guide the development of other species. Shadow Strike will be ready, Sarah assured her. The crew has drilled for every possible scenario. If the Zenith force the issue, she let the thought hang unfinished. Then humanity will demonstrate that true advancement isn't about following an established technological path, Wei said quietly. It's about finding new paths entirely. As if in response, the dark matter core pulsed slightly, sending ripples of invisible energy through the ship's crystalline structure. The shadow strike was more than just humanity's greatest technological achievement. It was proof that creativity and innovation could overcome any obstacle, even one as formidable as the Zenith Confederation. Run the full system check one more time, Santos ordered. When our visitors arrive, we need to be certain everything works perfectly. Humanity's future may depend on it. Sarah turned back to her ship, watching as the dark matter containment field shifted and swirled beneath the surface of the hull. Soon, the Zenith would arrive, confident in their superiority. And if diplomacy failed, they would learn that humanity's greatest weapons weren't the ones they could see. They were the ones they never imagined could exist. The first demonstration of Zenith power came exactly 47 hours after their ultimatum. A single crystalline vessel broke formation, descending into the atmosphere above the Pacific Ocean. From her command post in Lunar Command, Admiral Santos watched as the alien ship's hull began to pulse with stored energy. "They're targeting the uninhabited testing range," Professor Wei reported, his quantum sensors recording every fluctuation in the vessel's crystal matrix, exactly where we predicted they would strike. The Zenith ship's weapon discharge was spectacular, a lance of pure energy that turned several square kilometers of ocean into superheated steam in an instant. The display was clearly meant to intimidate, and to conventional sensors, it would appear overwhelming. "Energy output analysis," Santos asked calmly. "Approximately 15% of their ship's total capacity." Sarah Chen's voice came through on the secure channel from Shadowstrike. "The crystal lattice in their hull took 3 minutes to build up to firing charge. We could disrupt their entire power distribution network in less than 10 seconds. The main display activated, showing High Commander Arxis once again. His scales now shimmered with patterns that their xenologists identified as indicating supreme confidence. "A small demonstration," he announced. "Merely a fraction of what a single Confederation vessel can deliver. Your orbital defense satellites likely recorded the energy output. Note that it exceeds the combined power generation capacity of your entire civilization." Chancellor Rodriguez maintained his diplomatic composure. "An impressive display, High Commander. However, Earth's position remains unchanged. We seek peaceful cooperation, not subordination." The alien commander's secondary eyes narrowed. "Your stubbornness exceeds your wisdom. Very well. You have 1 hour to reconsider before we begin systematic neutralization of your military capabilities." The transmission cut off abruptly. "They're repositioning their fleet," Wei reported, studying the quantum sensor feeds. "Moving to cover all major defense installations, at least all the ones we've let them detect." Santos nodded, her expression grim. "They're still completely unaware of the dark matter satellite network." "Confirmed," Sarah responded from Shadowstrike. "Their scans pass right through our real defense grid. They're positioning themselves perfectly for a counterattack, if it comes to that." The next hour passed in tense preparation. In bases around the world, Earth's visible military forces made a show of increasing readiness, deploying conventional weapons and defensive systems that the Zenith would easily detect. Meanwhile, the True Defense Network silently mapped every molecule of the alien vessels, analyzing their crystalline structures and power distribution patterns. "Admiral," Wei called out suddenly. "Energy spike in their flagship's crystal matrix. They're preparing for a full barrage." The main display activated one final time. High Commander Arxis' scales now pulsed with patterns indicating what their xenologists believed to be both disappointment and anticipation. "Your time has expired," he declared. "It saddens us to take such actions against a potentially valuable member species, but your primitive defiance leaves us no choice. Perhaps your survivors will show greater wisdom." The transmission ended, and immediately the Zenith fleet began powering up their weapons. The crystalline hulls of their ships blazed with stored energy, preparing to deliver a devastating demonstration of their technological superiority. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Wei reported. "They're aiming for military bases, power plants, and orbital defense platforms. Firing sequence initiating in their crystal matrices." Santos straightened in her chair. They had hoped for diplomacy, had given the Zenith every chance to choose peace. But now they had forced humanity's hand. "Commander Chen," she said quietly, "execute Operation Dark Mirror." Aboard Shadowstrike, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Acknowledged, Admiral. Dark matter core at full capacity. Crystal resonance disruptors online. Beginning Phase 1. The prototype vessel, hidden in plain sight among Earth's orbital debris, powered up its revolutionary systems. Dark matter tendrils extended invisibly through space, connecting with the satellite network that the Zenith had never detected. As the alien ships prepared to fire, humanity's true defensive grid sprang to life. All ships mapped and locked, Sarah reported. Crystal resonance patterns identified and matched, ready to initiate disruption on your command. Santos took a deep breath. This moment would determine humanity's future, and perhaps change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Zenith were about to learn that dismissing humanity as primitive had been their greatest mistake. "The moment they fire," she ordered, "show them exactly how primitive we really are." High above Earth, 15 Zenith warships prepared to deliver their devastating barrage, their crews confident in their absolute technological superiority. They had no way of knowing that their carefully orchestrated display of power was about to become a demonstration of a very different kind. One that would prove that humanity's greatest strength lay not in copying existing technology, but in imagining entirely new possibilities. The Zenith fleet's attack began with a synchronized burst of energy that lit up Earth's orbit like a new sun. 15 crystalline warships discharged their weapons simultaneously, sending lances of destructive power toward their targets below. But something impossible happened. The beams never reached their destinations. "Dark matter field engaged," Sarah Chen reported from Shadow Strike's bridge, her voice steady as she watched the invisible network of satellites redirect the Zenith's energy weapons into the void. Crystal resonance disruption beginning now. Through the quantum sensors, they watched as dark matter tendrils infiltrated the crystalline hulls of the alien ships. The Zenith's supposedly impenetrable vessels might as well have been transparent to this fundamental force they had never thought to harness. By the stars, High Commander Arxis's voice crackled across all frequencies, his translator struggling to convey his shock. "Our weapons? Impossible. The energy readings make no sense." Multiple Zenith ships reporting power fluctuations, Wei announced from his station in Lunar Command. "Their crystal matrices are destabilizing exactly as predicted. They're completely vulnerable." Admiral Santos leaned forward in her chair. "Commander Chen, you may proceed with Phase 2. Shadow Strike emerged from its hiding place among the orbital debris, its dark matter core pulsing with power that no conventional sensors could detect. The ship moved like a ghost through space, passing through the Zenith fleet's formation without triggering a single proximity alarm. "They still can't see us," Sarah reported, positioning her ship directly behind the Zenith flagship, targeting their primary power distribution nodes. The prototype vessel's weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, it fired concentrated streams of dark matter that passed through the aliens' crystal hulls as if they weren't there. The effect was devastating. Power systems failed, artificial gravity collapsed, and the supposedly invincible ships began drifting helplessly in space. "What sorcery is this?" Arxis demanded, his transmission showing the chaos on his bridge as systems failed one by one. "Your civilization is primitive. You have no energy weapons, no gravitic technology." "You're correct, High Commander," Santos replied calmly, opening a channel to the crippled flagship. "We don't have energy weapons or gravitic technology, because we developed something better. Something your scans couldn't detect because you never imagined it could exist." Shadow Strike moved methodically through the Zenith formation, neutralizing ship after ship without firing a single visible shot. The alien vessel's crystal hulls, designed to withstand and channel enormous energies, were useless against weapons that operated on principles they had never discovered. "Admiral," Sarah called out, "the Zenith ships are attempting to power up their emergency drives. Should we disable those as well?" Santos considered for a moment. "No. Let them keep enough power to maintain life support and basic maneuvering. We're not here to destroy them, just to make our point clear." On the main display, High Commander Arxis's scales had shifted to colors their xenologists had never seen before. "How?" he demanded. "How is this possible?" "Our scans showed no advanced technology." "That was your first mistake," Santos replied. "You assumed that advancement could only follow the path you knew. You never considered that we might find a different way entirely. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in less than 10 minutes. 15 of the most powerful warships in known space hung powerless in orbit, their crystalline hulls now dark and dormant. Earth's conventional defense fleet remained untouched in their positions, maintaining the illusion that they had played no part in this victory. All Zenith vessels neutralized, Sarah reported. Dark matter core stable at 82% capacity. We could do this 3 more times without recharging. Santos nodded, then turned her attention back to the stunned alien commander. High Commander Arxis, I believe it's time to renegotiate the terms of our relationship. Earth is willing to establish diplomatic relations with the Zenith Confederation. As equals. The alien leader's scales slowly shifted to what they recognized as a pattern of formal acknowledgement. It seems, he said carefully, that we have greatly miscalculated. Your species has achieved something we believed impossible. Not impossible, Santos corrected. Just unprecedented. Humanity's greatest strength isn't in copying what others have done. It's in imagining what no one has tried before. Professor Wei's quantum sensors continued monitoring the disabled fleet. The dark matter containment field is holding perfectly. Their ships won't regain full power until we allow it. A single vessel, Arxis said, his translator struggling to convey his mix of emotions. One ship we never even detected. You could have destroyed us all. That wasn't our goal, Santos replied. Earth has no interest in destruction or domination. We want to expand human knowledge, to explore the galaxy, to learn from other civilizations, as partners, not subjects. The Zenith commander was silent for a long moment, his scales shifting through various patterns before settling on one that indicated deep thought. Perhaps, he said finally, the Confederation has something to learn from Earth after all. Around the planet, humanity's hidden defense grid remained vigilant, dark matter satellites invisible to any conventional detection methods. Shadowstrike maintained its position near the Zenith flagship, a silent reminder that true technological advancement wasn't about following established paths. It was about daring to forge entirely new ones. 1 month after the confrontation in Earth's orbit, Admiral Elena Santos stood in a chamber that would have seemed impossible just weeks ago. The central conference hall of the Zenith Confederation's Science Council. The crystalline walls soared overhead, their usually pristine surfaces now augmented with strips of dark matter technology, a visible symbol of the rapid changes sweeping through Confederation space. The integration of dark matter manipulation into our existing crystal matrices has exceeded all projections, High Counselor Ven announced, her scales shimmering with excitement. The potential applications extend far beyond military technology. Professor Wei Chen nodded, standing beside a holographic display showing the merger of human and Zenith technologies. The crystalline structures of your ships provide perfect containment vessels for controlled dark matter streams. Together, we're achieving things neither of our civilizations could have managed alone. The chamber was filled with both human and Zenith scientists, all working together to explore the possibilities created by combining their different approaches to technology. What had begun as a near conflict had transformed into one of the most productive technological collaborations in known space. Commander Chen's latest test flights have been particularly enlightening, Arxis added. The former High Commander had been among the first to recognize the opportunities presented by Earth's revolutionary technology, and now served as the primary liaison between human and Zenith military forces. The application of dark matter fields to our crystal propulsion systems has increased efficiency by 700%. Sarah Chen, recently promoted to Fleet Commander, pulled up her own data on the quantum display. And that's just the beginning. The combination of your crystal energy manipulation and our dark matter containment opens up entirely new possibilities for faster-than-light travel. We might be able to reach other galaxies within a human lifetime. Santos watched the interactions with quiet satisfaction. The Zenith Confederation had proven more adaptable than anyone had expected. Once they moved past their initial shock and wounded pride, their scientific curiosity had taken over. The revelation that a supposedly primitive species had developed technology that operated on completely different principles had forced them to reevaluate centuries of assumptions about technological progress. The latest survey data is even more promising, Professor Wei continued, bringing up a new set of readings. Dark matter appears to be far more prevalent in the universe than either of our civilizations realized. We're detecting signs of natural dark matter formations that could revolutionize our understanding of space travel. And to think, Arxis said, his scales showing patterns of both amusement and lingering embarrassment. We nearly dismissed your entire species as primitive because you didn't follow our expected path of development. That's become something of a teaching moment in the Confederation, High Counselor Venn added. We've begun re-evaluating several other species we previously classified as pre-technological. It seems we may have been measuring advancement by too narrow a standard. The changes weren't limited to technology. The Zenith Confederation itself was transforming, moving away from its hierarchical system of technological classification toward a more collaborative approach to interstellar relations. Earth's demonstration that radical innovation could come from unexpected sources had sparked a cultural shift throughout Confederation space. The first joint human Zenith exploration fleet will be ready for launch next month, Sarah reported, bringing up the mission details. 6 ships combining both technologies, crewed by both species, will be able to explore regions of space that were previously inaccessible. And more importantly, Santos added, we'll be exploring them as equals, each bringing our own strengths and perspectives to the mission. The Admiral moved to the chamber's observation window, looking out at the crystalline spires of the Confederation capital. Strips of dark matter technology were visible throughout the city, pulsing with invisible energy that complemented the gleaming crystal structures. It was a perfect metaphor for the new relationship between their civilizations. Different approaches working in harmony to create something greater than the sum of their parts. We've received 17 applications for technological exchange programs from other species in the past week alone, Venn reported. It seems Earth's example has inspired many to reveal advances they previously kept hidden, fearing they would be dismissed as irrelevant to proper technological development. The galaxy is entering a new age, Arxis observed. One where progress isn't measured by how well you follow an established path, but by how many new paths you dare to explore. Santos smiled as she watched a newly modified ship rise from the spaceport below, its crystal hull seamlessly integrated with dark matter technology. The vessel represented everything they had hoped to achieve. Not the dominance of one approach over another, but the synthesis of different ideas to create something entirely new. That was always humanity's greatest strength, she said quietly. Not our technology itself, but our willingness to imagine possibilities that others hadn't considered. And now that imagination has been unleashed across the galaxy. As if in response to her words, the ship below engaged its combined crystal dark matter drive, vanishing instantly into the depths of space. Around the chamber, humans in Zenith continued their work, planning missions and designing technologies that neither species could have conceived of alone. The future that stretched before them was brighter than ever, illuminated not by the light of a single path, but by the glow of countless new possibilities waiting to be explored.